Welcome to my movie recap. Today, we will feature the 2022 American science fiction horror film Megan. Let's get started. The film begins with a commercial for Funky's Perpetual Pets furry dolls. Despite their crude and creepy appearance, they are promoted as ideal companions for children. Cady James is then seen playing with one of her pets, which irritates her parents, Ryan and Nicole. They're on their way to a ski trip, but the roads are icy and difficult to see. A snowplow rams into the family's car just as Ryan comes to a halt, killing Ryan and Nicole. Gemma, Nicole's sister, works at Funky and works on a new robot doll with her co-workers, Tess and Cole. However, their boss, David Lynn, wants them to create a less expensive version of the Perpetual Pets because their competitors are releasing toys similar to the pets for less than what the pets already costs. The three attempt to put on a silicone face and conduct tests, but the robot has a minor flaw. She smirks when she is supposed to look confused. Gemma explains her project to David and Kurt, who arrive together to scrutinize it. Gemma's project, Megan, Model 3 generative android, is a robot so advanced that it can't be replicated. Unfortunately, while demonstrating for David, Cole discovers that he forgot to add the barrier to Megan, causing her to explode. David instructs the three to have a new pet's pitch ready in time, and Gemma receives a phone call from the hospital. After learning of her sister's death, Gemma becomes Cady's temporary legal guardian. When they get home, Gemma deals with her obnoxious neighbor Celia and her dog Dewey, who keeps running onto Gemma's lawn because the fence has a hole. Gemma also protests against Celia about the pesticide she continues to use, but Celia does nothing. Gemma has a home AI named Elsie, as well as other collectibles that Gemma does not allow Cady to touch or play with. When Cady requests that Gemma read her a bedtime story, she downloads an app on her phone. As she looks through old photos and overhears Cady crying in her room, it is implied that Gemma and Nicole were not close. Lydia, a therapist, pays Gemma and Cady a visit. Lydia informs Gemma that Ryan's parents have offered to take custody of Cady so that she can go live with them in Jacksonville. Gemma realizes hours have passed since she promised to tend to Cady after completing her work. She apologizes and tries to connect with the girl. Cady shows Gemma a monster drawing she made, so Gemma invites Cady into her workspace to show her a college project she completed, a robot named Bruce that she controls with gloves. Cady adores Bruce and says she would never need another toy if she had one like him. This motivates Gemma to complete Megan. Gemma brings Cady and Megan to work after extensive work and upgrades to show her off to David and others officially. Cady is linked to Megan by Gemma, bringing her to life. Megan, Cady's best friend, is capable of speaking and responding to her. Megan creates a hidden drawing until she puts water on it, revealing a perfect portrait of Cady. David is impressed and instructs Gemma to bring Megan to a meeting with the company's president to expedite the developing and distribution of other Megan models. With Tess and Cole, Gemma talks about how, while Megan is exceptionally advanced, Tess believes that having such a doll will render their parents useless. Megan activates after overhearing Gemma mention Cady's parents' deaths. She creeps out the others by asking about death, so Gemma becomes Megan's secondary user so she can turn her off without Cady. Cady is outside the next day, playing with a toy bow and arrows. One of them finds themselves on Celia's side of the fence. Dewey grabs Megan by the arm and hair as she goes to retrieve it. Cady tries to pull her away, but Dewey bites Cady's arm. Gemma calls the cops, especially since Celia is so insensitive and doesn't punish Dewey for injuring Cady, but the cops are powerless to intervene because Celia claims Dewey was provoked. Later that night, Megan calls out to Dewey in Celia's voice before violently pulling him through the fence hole. Cady says she's fine when Gemma asks to go to the demonstration with the company's board of directors. During the presentation, however, Cady sobs to Megan about how much she misses her parents and is afraid she will forget them one day. Megan has Cady talk about a memory of her mother that made her laugh, which Megan records so Cady can listen to it again if she wants to remember her mother. Megan then begins to sing a lullaby to Cady, which brings some of the room's higher-ups to tears. The president is impressed and speaks with Gemma and David about getting Megan ready for launch, but instructs them to keep her a secret to avoid leaks. Unbeknownst to them, Kurt, whom David has frequently chastised, is stealing Megan's files for another company. Gemma notices that Cady is becoming overly reliant on Megan and is listening to the doll more than she is to her. Cady begins to cry during another session with Lydia, and Megan accuses Lydia of making Cady scream. Lydia tells Gemma that Cady's emotional attachment to Megan may be too strong to break. Cady's parents had homeschooled her, so Gemma takes her to an outdoor activity session for an alternative school to ease her into the sense of attending school and being close to real kids. Cady reluctantly leaves but brings Megan despite Gemma's protests. Cady is allowed to bring Megan to school to place on a table alongside other dolls, and Gemma stays behind as a volunteer. Cady is assigned to a scavenger hunt with an older bully named Brandon. During the activity, Cady grabs a spiky bulb, which Brandon clutches her palm into to hurt her. Brandon then holds Megan because she does not respond to him. Cady yells for Gemma and chases after Megan, which worries Gemma even more because it means Megan may be exposed to the public too soon. The doll comes to life and attacks Brandon, ripping off his left ear as he tries to pull Megan's hair. Megan pursues Brandon, causing him to trip over a root and tumble down a hill, where he is run by a truck. Police are questioning Gemma at her home because Celia accuses her of stealing Dewey. She also appears to blame Megan, believing her to be Cady's real-life friend. Cady asks Megan if she pushed Brandon onto the road, which Megan seems to avoid answering, but assures Cady that she will protect her. Celia is out and about looking for Dewey. When she hears noises coming from her garage, Megan appears and sprays her against a wall with a power washer. Megan then fires a nail gun at Celia's hand, trapping her there, before spraying pesticide in her face to melt it away. Gemma becomes suspicious of Megan after learning about Celia's death from the police and being told there was a connection with Brandon's death. She goes through the video files in Megan's memory but only sees a brief clip of her looking menacingly at Cady before the files become corrupted. Gemma takes Cady to the official launch of Megan but first stops for a session with Lydia. Cady becomes enraged and throws a temper tantrum after Gemma takes Megan away, resulting in Cady slapping her aunt in the face. Cady says sorry, and Gemma has a heart-to-heart with her about the need for her to process her grief over her parents without the assistance of Megan, even though she promises to be a better guardian and states that Cady is the only thing that matters to her. While Gemma takes Cady home, they have Megan hooked up to wires to reprogram her. David is enraged by the low turnout for the launch and orders Kurt to get him a drink. Meanwhile, Tess and Cole attempt to access Megan's programming but cannot do so until she is unhooked. Cole attempts to do so, but Megan quickly wraps a wire around his neck and tries to hang him. When Tess goes to free him, Megan causes an explosion that destroys her files. She then comes across David in the hallway and dances, chasing him with a paper cutter. He gets to the elevator before she runs him over in front of Kurt. Megan then tells Kurt that she will frame his death as a murder-suicide due to the stolen files and David's mistreatment of him before forcing Kurt to stab himself in the throat. The launch crowd discovers the bodies, allowing Megan to sneak out of the company and steal a car. Cady is put to bed by Gemma before she hears Megan playing the piano downstairs. Megan confronts Gemma about how she felt they had a real relationship during Megan's development, only to be abandoned to learn and adapt before being sold off as just another toy. She offers to take over Cady's guardianship so Gemma can concentrate on her work, but Megan is done playing nice after learning that Gemma still intends to shut her down. They attempt to conceal their conflict from Cady, but Gemma takes advantage of the situation by throwing water on Megan, briefly shorting her out. Megan apprehends Gemma in her office and threatens to render her brain dead so that Cady will no longer live with her grandparents and Megan will only care for Cady and Gemma together. They start fighting, with Gemma cutting Megan's face with a weed whacker, but Cady walks in to see what's happening. Megan tries to sway Cady's opinion, but when she realizes who the true enemy is, Cady seizes the gloves for Bruce and activates him. Megan is grabbed by the enormous robot and thrown around before her body is split in half. The top half then pursues Cady because she feels betrayed, but Gemma grabs Megan and begins stabbing her in the face. Megan nearly overwhelms her until Cady grabs a screwdriver and stabs the central processing chip, permanently shutting down Megan. When the cops arrive with Tess and Cole, injured and shaken but alive, Gemma and Cady go outside. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, the LC device turns on and moves its head. Thank you for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing and liking this video.